It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. So I wanted to just give a quick update again because I think this is very important. Smith's Pharmacy and supermarkets here across the state of Nevada now are going to be counting the number of customers that are going into these markets. I think it's a smart move, and I think it's a good
Have you gone to the store at all lately, Brian?
Absolutely. I probably go way too much.
Yeah, I go as well.
Yep.
They actually they wipe down your cart now, which is cool.
Yeah, well,
I think that's cool.
They don't do it. They give you a wipe. At least that's what I've seen. But,
No. I've gone to Target. I've gone to Smith's.
Oh.
I've gone to where else have I gone?
Okay, well, that's a good thing. If
Albertsons. They all wipe down my cart.
That's a good thing if they're doing that. So joining us on the line right now, talk a little sports. I mean, there's not a lot of sports going on, but there's certainly always sports news that is out there on TMZ Sports. It's been a few weeks since we had this guy on the show. He is Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Mike, I hope you're doing good, my friend. How's your health?
What's up, fellas? Man, I miss you guys. Everything is good. Trying to stay safe and healthy in here. How about you?
Doing all right, hanging in there, man.
I'm doing good.
I actually got a coronavirus test
a
few days ago. I am negative. So
did you think you were sick, Brian?
Well, I wasn't feeling too good. I wasn't sleeping well. That was my big issue, and I had some minor breathing issues, and I was told it was due to lack of sleep.
And I was very thankful because considering the fact that I sit 3 feet away from Brian and we scream at each other all day, and then Stein sits a foot away from each of us, if Brian had it, the chances of us having it would be very high.
Yeah, for the record, though, they did not check me for any STDs. That probably would have been a positive, but I am a negative when it comes to the coronavirus.
And there's also a chance that Brian has such aggressive STDs that they actually canceled out the coronavirus.
They stuck the long Q-tip in the wrong hole.
That's a horrible joke that our producer just made.
That was awful.
That was
Did you hear that,
terrible.
Mike?
No,
I said they stuck the swab in the wrong hole.
Hey, Mike, are you considered essential? Can you actually go to work?
Yeah, news is essential, but I'm not going to work. I'm working from home. So.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's exactly.
It's surreal. They sent me all these cameras and lights and all this equipment. I don't even know what it does, but I'm doing TV from my kitchen. So strange time.
You along with Chris Cuomo and everybody else. All right, so Mike, let's actually have a little bit of fun here. By the way, glad you're healthy, glad you're doing well.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Tom Brady, one of my favorite guys. The reason why I got into radio. Howard Stern. Actually, we just had Jackie the Joke Man Martling on our show yesterday. I love Howard. I think he gets the most out of people as far as interviews go. So we had Tom Brady on. I believe it was this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Can you give us an update on that? What can you tell us? What are some of the most titillating things that Tom Brady said in this interview that we learned?
I think you're right about Howard Stern, by the way, because Tom Brady, when you listen to him talk, he'll talk football all day with you, but he does not really talk about his personal life. So for him to open up to Howard Stern the way he did about a difficult time that he was having in his marriage between him and Giselle, I was shocked by that. So not that Howard Stern needs kudos from any of us, but I think he did a great job with this. But, yeah, Tom Brady said that a couple of years ago he actually skipped the Patriots OTAs because him and Giselle were having problems. Tom said that he was looking at things in a selfish way, that he would leave, he would end the football season, he would be done, and then he would hop right into his other business, enterprises, all the other stuff that he has going on away from the field. And he said that Giselle was really upset about that, and she essentially said to him, "I'm not happy here. I need your help. You need to spend time with your family. You need to, raise your kids here. You can't just go from the football field and then go right into your other businesses. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly." So they were actually going through a really difficult time. And if you go back, I remember a few years ago, there were all these reports and rumors that him and Giselle were having trouble. And a lot of people thought those were erroneous. They were off base. They weren't true. Now it turns out that that stuff was actually true, that they were really going through a difficult time. Thankfully for them, they were able to fix their issues, and now Tom is kind of approaching life a little bit differently. But it was very interesting to hear him talk about the issues that he has going on off the field, particularly because I think we look at these guys and it's like you don't even realize Tom Brady is an actual person. This figure that is just
He's
this
Clark
great
Kent.
football player and perfect, right? And it turns out that these guys are people also, and they have real world problems just like the rest of us.
I'll tell you, I was actually shocked considering the fact that Tom Brady is starting a production company for movies in Hollywood. In the fact that his family's from California, that he actually went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and not the San Diego Chargers. Did that surprise you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the L.A. Chargers, yeah.
Mike, did we lose you? You still there?
It would have made life easier for Giselle. She has a lot of stuff going on in Los Angeles.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And I think it's probably right that once Tom is done with his football career, that they will probably move out here to Los Angeles. So, like you, Jay, I thought that just made sense. That hey, rather than going to Tampa.
Oh, so I see. So basically, it's keeping football and business separate.
The entertainment industry, right. There are some things in Tampa. Look it up on the internet. I was surprised. I thought he would wind up here in L.A. And if not, I thought that that the Titans were a good spot for him because of his really close friendship with Brable. The Bucs are not a location that I saw. But, hey, I think, if you're Tom Brady, you can make anything a good fit. And, he's not committing to live the rest of his life there. He'll live there for a couple months out of the year, and that'll be it.
So you mentioned, the personal stuff he talked about, which we don't hear from Tom Brady, is the relationship with his wife and how the issues they were going through. Is there anything else in this interview from a personal standpoint that you learned about Tom Brady in this interview?
There was some funny stuff about Tom Brady and Derek Jeter being his landlord, but they were asking him, what happens if the washing machine breaks? And hey guys, my AirPods just died there.
That's okay.
So they were asking him, hey, what happens if the washing machine breaks stuff? And he said, I called Derek Jeter up, and him and Jeter are close friends. So obviously, if people haven't heard, Tom Brady is living in one of Derek Jeter's homes in Tampa.
Yes.
Derek Jeter with the Yankees, spring training being in Tampa, he has a house there. So but the marriage stuff was far and away the most the kind of the bombshell thing.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that. All right, let's switch topics here a little bit. Let's talk a little Major League Baseball. Obviously, America's pastime. Everybody wants to see baseball. Now we're hearing rumblings and we're hearing rumors. Is Major League Baseball going to start in May? Are they going to play in neutral sites? I've heard the same thing from the NHL, that there's a possibility that they could be playing games in neutral sites. What's the latest? What have you heard?
Yeah, this is very much an idea that baseball internally has floated, and they've talked about trying in May, so we're talking relatively soon here, having all the teams play fanless games in Arizona. Now, there are obviously challenges. How do you make the schedule work? How do you find enough fields for all these teams to actually play games? So there are challenges, and do you have umpires? What is considered essential personnel here? So there are things that baseball needs to figure out that they have not yet figured out, but it is absolutely something that they have talked about. And I think baseball, the season was supposed to start, end of March here, and once you're playing 162 games in like 180 days, so there is not much off time. So baseball wants to act quickly because they're going to get to a point here. As every week goes by, you're essentially missing 5 games. So, if enough time goes by and they don't figure out a solution, you're just going to get to a point where is it even worth it? Does it make sense to have a season? Is it a legitimate season if you're only playing like 70 games or so? Probably not. So baseball is trying to figure out something quickly here. And, I think Arizona is a place they've looked at because, one, the climate is warm, and, secondly, it's obviously a little bit spread out. We're not talking about New York City here. So, yeah, it's absolutely something that they've talked about. They have not come to a conclusion yet, but it's certainly a possibility.
And in Arizona, you can actually play multiple games at once because they have so many different fields to use. I'd like to see Tom Brady, the Marlins fan. I wonder if he's actually paying Derek Jeter rent just by attending those games and getting some camera time on him in Marlins Stadium.
Right. It makes sense. And they could use all the fans they can get, especially celebrity fans.
So Donald Trump had a call with all the different, the powers that be of all the different sports leagues, anywhere from MLB to women's golf, basically. And he made the statement that he hopes that people are in the stands for the start of not just college but also professional football, which is, I believe, September 7th. Do you think that at this point that is reasonable, and have you heard the same from your connections?
Yeah, I understand that that's what he wants, and I think that's what everybody wants. I think, one, because we miss sports, and it indicates a return to normalcy, but it doesn't, right now, at least to me, it doesn't seem that that's reasonable or feasible. I can't see that happening. I can see games being played, but probably in front of empty stadiums, because just the thought of getting 75,000 people at a football game when there's not going to be a vaccine by that point, obviously, it seems very hard to believe. It seems impossible to me. I don't even really think it's an option. Now, I understand, I think throughout the last month or so, there have been different times where Donald Trump has tried to provide hope for people, but I don't know that this is actually something that's reasonable. It's hard for me to imagine. I don't even know, guys, if anything completely goes back to normal with respect to sports in the future, I could see at least a segment of people who are uneasy and don't want to go out and be in large crowds like that anymore. So I don't know if sports leagues don't lose some portion of their fan base going forward, even after there's a vaccine and we have this thing handled. But I certainly can't see it happening.
And you mean as far as live events, not because I'm sure they would still watch digitally or through TV or online or something like that.
I just don't know if people are going to want to go into a stadium with with 20,000 people, or go to a football game with 75,000 people. Yeah. I think there will be people who are really going to be changed by what we've all gone through here. I think we're looking at it kind of a new way of life, and it won't be like that for all people. I mean, look outside now. Some people are still not doing what we're being told to do now while this thing is raging full force. So, yes, certainly some people will have no problem, but I do think there is a group of people who will not even want to go to these games in person anymore.
He is Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Mike, just a few more quick questions, and we'll let you go. Appreciate you coming on. Tiger Woods, as you know, the Masters was supposed to happen like now, right? Tomorrow was supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, the first round of the Masters. This is the biggest golf tournament in the world, Augusta National. You know, let me put it to you this way: it's the only golf tournament I watch 4 days straight because I love it. It's the Masters. Yep. So explain to me this. So Tiger Woods threw a private Masters dinner. I see his 2 kids and his girlfriend. First of all, I'm assuming the golf course is still open. How does he get in there, and how does he get served in a restaurant? Explain to me how. I mean, I know he's Tiger Woods. I get it. But tell me, how did this take place?
Well, a lot of these golf courses have remained open, and that's been a point of contention for a lot of people. People have complained, how is golfing essential? But typically when you're on a golf course, you're on a whole big patch of grass, and there are not many people around you. So I think because he is Tiger Woods, they probably make some exceptions for him. But this dinner is a big thing that the tradition that happens the couple days before the Masters, where the past year's winner, which Tiger was, will put on a big dinner for past champions, and it's a pretty big deal. I think it's something that the guys, once they win the tournament, look forward to, but that was not going to happen this year. So a little bit modified, but I guess when you're Tiger Woods, rules can be broken, and people will do things for you. Now, I don't know if he ends up getting 2 dinners here, because the Masters has been very clear that they are not canceling their tournament, that they are just postponing it. So I would imagine that he will get his full celebration dinner later in the year when they actually play the tournament. But, a little private thing with his 2 kids and his girlfriend yesterday to celebrate.
Well, I think he deserves that. I think that's very fair. Hey, last question for you. This is kind of cool. Lou Gehrig, obviously the legend. I saw a story that you guys have up there on TMZ Sports that his game-used bat sold for $1 million. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. $1,025,000. This is one of Lou's, supposedly one of his favorite bats. A huge bat, 40 ounces, so it's super heavy, way heavier than bats that the guys use today. It's crazy. One time we had a Babe Ruth bat recently, and it was from his 500th home run that also sold for $1 million. And I remember holding this thing, and it's just. There's so much history, but at the end of the day, it's a piece of wood. It's insane some of the money that people have to spend on these items. But it's a bat that was about 195 years old at this point, and over $1 million sold for, which is insane.
Wow. Oh, hey, somebody made some money, that's for sure. But that's awesome. Hey, somebody's willing to spend that kind of money for a piece of memorabilia. Something tells me that my plastic bat that is signed by Jose Canseco probably wouldn't go for $1 million. I'm guessing maybe 1995. I don't know. I got him to sign a plastic bat. I'm looking at it right now as we speak.
That's very cool, and I like Jose. So,
Jose's a good guy.
And stuff,
Yeah, Jose's a good guy. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, Mr. Babcock, coming on our show under difficult circumstances. You guys are doing a great job. You specifically, you do a great job at TMZ Sports. It's good to hear from you again, my man, and hopefully we can catch up with you next week. Stay safe, all right?
Absolutely. You too, guys. Stay safe.
All right, there you go.
Thanks a lot, Mikey.
Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. They are continuing to do their job, and by the way, they do it very, very well.